Today we're deep cleaning my AM3. That's a Knittax or Knitking machine. Taking the machine apart for deep cleaning was a separate video, and I'll put a link in the program notes. Immediately after removing them from the machine, we put all the needles in a container and soaked them overnight in Marvel Mystery Oil. And now we're painstakingly hand cleaning them using a super fine piece of steel wool to get off any rust or oxidized oil, then wiping them off with blue shop towels. The shop towels are nice because they are non-linting and we don't want to create lint to put straight back into the machine. If you don't have them, old cotton t-shirts that you're ready to use as rags will do. A knitting friend got in touch to ask what to use to clean the Knittax because it has those Bakelite sinkers. And we honestly weren't sure. This is our first deep clean of mine. Back when Jack was still working at the university, he had a relationship with the sales representatives from LPS, and they are all chemical engineers. So one of them researched the products that we now use on Japanese machines for us, and we used them happily and successfully for a decade before we said a word about it, and now we have recommended them widely, and the majority of people really love them. So he got back in touch with LPS and asked for advice. And another helpful chemical engineer recommended that we try T91 and BFX. She explained that the Bakelite would probably be better off with aqueous solutions, which both of these are, and they should be safe for the bed as well. In this movie, we'll try both of them and compare them with the third method of cleaning the bed parts. We have some confidence in LPS chemical engineers, and therefore we are posting this video without a decade of trial. We believe these chemicals are going to be safe for this machine, but we just want you to be aware this is our first time using them too, so if you try them, you will also be early in the program. There are 6 main bed pieces like the 3 that you see here, so we're treating 2 in each of 3 ways. I took the first 2 and washed them with warm water and hand dishwashing liquid in the kitchen sink. Here's one of the ones that I washed, sitting in between 2 that have yet to be cleaned. The water was hot, but not too hot to put my hands in, and I used a soft nylon brush to assist. I use a mild dish soap so it doesn't overly dry my hands, and that's what I used on this, and I was generous with it. That's one method that people use to clean pass-up bed sections also. It takes some elbow grease and a few minutes, and you must make absolutely certain that your bed pieces are fully dry before you reassemble, but it does work fine.
This is the T91 LPS product.
Jack will clean 2 segments with this. I cleaned 2 with hand washing and dishwashing liquid in warm water, and then we'll clean the remaining 2 with the other product.
And here is old toothbrush. This grease is really old. We've said this to people before, this perfect evidence. That was probably a white lithium grease when this machine was assembled.
Not right now.
No, now it could have been a light oil, but normally the lithium grease is what turns yellow and hard like that.
For routine lubrication, the Knittax manual suggests using a light machine oil, which usually means something like sewing machine oil, 10 weight, highly refined, non-tacking.
It looks like it is dissolving.
It is.
At this point, it became clear that time was helping the chemical dissolve the grease faster and faster. So Jack sprayed the second of his 2 bed pieces and 1 end piece so that they'll be sitting a little while before it's time for their turn with the brush. On the surface of the parts, it's very obvious where the dirt is. We did take special care to get in the grooves, repeatedly going at them from different directions because they're slender. That's where the needles operate and also where the sinkers operate. And you don't want buildup on the sides of those grooves because it's going to slow down the action of the machine. Knitting performance will be poor. Just as a point of reference, this is sped up to 4 times the actual time. It did take us a couple hours, I think, to get all of the pieces clean in all of our various ways. A reasonable investment for the performance improvement of a clean machine. We decided that there was no need to rinse the product off. We'll do a performance test and see if we agree with ourselves in real life, but to eventually clean off any residue that was damp with the blue shop towels. That blunt-ended wedge of wood that you see Jack using on stubborn areas is part of a clothespin. This view displays how the bed sections connect together.
And show you the before, this, and the after. So I'm really pleased with this product.
T91 is getting it clean and was not unpleasant to work with. Here's the piece that's been soaking.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think? We've been soaking about 10 minutes?
Yeah, and this, the grease has just...
It's starting to dissolve.
Yeah,
on
just
its own.
floated off.
Oh, good.
That's what we want.
It sure is. The section that was soaked in T91 got clean much more speedily and with much less effort, although we did use the same exact methods. On to trying out the BFX. Jack is using it generously.
This is the product called BFX. I didn't have my glasses on. I thought it said BFF. But I promise you, the way this grease is disappearing may not be my best friend, but it'll be one of my friends.
That's going pretty well.
It is, and this is not a lot of elbow grease, I promise you.
That's the thing with the warm water. It's a time-honored method. It works. But it did take me multiple warm water baths and quite a bit of elbow grease.
And the jury is back.
What do they say?
They say it's cleaner with the T91. See, you had 2 big spots.
So would this summarize what we're thinking right now? Both chemicals do quite a good job, and both seem to be a little bit better than hand washing in warm water and dishwashing soap. That's hand dishwashing soap. However, of the two, T91 dissolves old grease a little better.
That is exactly what I would tell anyone who asks, because you can see there's still one little spot right there, but that one's gone, and there was one up here and it's gone. And I scrubbed a lot harder than this with the BFX. These are part of a Knittax knitting machine, and they're made of Bakelite. 2 of these Bakelite substances with each one.
They're the sinkers, by the way.
Yeah. I got that one labeled. And of course I'm using my favorite product, the pig mat, which absorbs everything. They seem to be pretty safe products. What she told me was, she said that these are basically a resin. And it's I think a World War II era compound that she said you didn't want to use any harsh chemicals on these because they are a resin. So she sent me these 2 products, and they're basically in a water solution. So here's what we've done. We've sprayed them, and we have some more that have not been sprayed or cleaned. And we're going to let them sit for a while, and then we're going to see what it does to the material. If you'll notice, the one that I've got has its spring on, and I took the springs off just because spring is metal and this is an aqueous solution, and metal and water don't get along real well. So we'll put the springs back on before we put them back in the machine. The machine is back together, and this is my very first knitting test.
The machine was both stiff and noisy until we lubricated quite a bit. We're using the LPS1 food grade silicone spray. You could also use light machine oil. All areas of the machine knit smoothly. The left end of the bed was cleaned with T91. The center was soapy water, the right end with BFX. There really is not a performance difference that I can discern. We wiped all of the sinkers down with the blue shop towels. The ones that were not cleaned with BFX and T91 really had no sticky residue on them, so I didn't use a product. Why use chemicals where they're not needed? I just wiped them down with the shop cloth and checked the condition of the springs. Jack gave careful attention to the two that had been soaked in chemicals, BFX and T91, and they showed absolutely no signs of difference from the others. So we do think the advice from the chemical engineer was proper, and we would definitely use either product again, especially T91.